The anti-aircraft missile system, designed to destroy aircraft, cruise, and ballistic missiles, can also be used against ground targets. The S-400 is able to intercept cruise missiles at a range of about 40 kilometers due to their low-altitude flight paths. Long-range SAM systems, including the Russian S-300 and S-400, are profoundly capable weapons. The Russian S-400 is arguably one of the best all-around strategic SAM systems in operation today. And there is an even better replacement in development, in the form of the S-500. Particular strengths of the S-300 and the follow-on S-400 series are their extended reach, their adaptable capacity to strike at various targets, fundamentally airplane, yet in addition journey and ballistic missiles to a degree, and their sophisticated sensors, which Russia claims include some anti-stealth capability. In the possession of equipped and very much prepared groups, current long-run SAMs, for example, the S-400 can inflict significant damage on an adversary. Their extents permit them to target key foe-empowering influence airplanes, for example, significantly elevated refueling big haulers and airborne early admonition and control airplane. Their adaptable focusing on abilities means they can guard against numerous various sorts of, what's more, but restricted, hostile to secrecy abilities offer the possibility to cut down some of the best combat aircraft currently in operation. At an essential level, the S-400's field of view for the inquiry and fire control radar is restricted to the Earth. In view of this basic constraint, search radars are commonly positioned on tall poles to better see over the horizon. An even better solution is to position radars on specialized aircraft, airborne warning, and control aircraft systems, AWACS, or on stationary tethered balloons known as aerostats. However, without over-the-skyline sensors, the S-400, and other incredible HIMARS frameworks, are helpless against a low-altitude attack by cruise missiles, which, in large numbers, can overwhelm an air defense system. Furthermore, the low-altitude cruise missile threat is not the only threat. The drone attacks on the Saudi oil facilities and a ballistic missile attack on an American airfield located in Iraq in retaliation for the Trump administration's decision to assassinate General Qasem Soleimani are just a couple of examples of the inherent difficulties in effective air defense. In both cases, air defenses were defeated at a fraction of the cost of complex air defense systems that are difficult to operate effectively. The Iranian accidental downing of the Ukrainian airliner is another example of how difficult it is to operate air defense systems and not make tragic mistakes. But the capability of an individual system is not the central point. The real issue is that the civilian and military leadership face investment choices that go beyond the decision to buy the S-400. To be effective, the S-400 needs to be deployed within a larger integrated air and missile defense system and requires a very skilled military workforce to operate. Otherwise, it will prove to be a costly and expensive military extravagance. The full costs and complexity of these systems warrant a systematic analysis of the full range of military, diplomatic, and financial trade-offs. In light of the tough budget trade-offs, countries will face post-pandemic national leadership so their citizenry a thorough assessment. The Indian Armed Forces, like other national militaries seeking to boost their air defense capabilities, must sort through tremendous financial and technical challenges. India faces a diverse set of ballistic missile threats from its neighbors and no single system can solve this complex challenge. Even the S-400, a very high-performance high-altitude missile aerospace defense system, HIMARS, has important limitations. Yet, even with these impressive theoretical capabilities, modern long-range SAMs such as the S-400 are only as good as the context within which they exist, that is, the systems can be more or less effective depending on the type of adversary they face. An S-400, for instance, could be a formidable threat to a limited enemy incursion, but even a full S-400 battalion only has around 8 missile launchers, typically with 4 missiles each. 32 missiles are certainly enough to cause serious harm to a limited attack. But if an S-400 battalion is acting in isolation or is not backed up by other modern air defenses, it likely doesn't have enough missiles to withstand a determined onslaught. This is especially true in the Middle East, where numerous customers deploy expensive systems and batteries rather than battalions, a battery being the smallest unit composition, meaning they might only have 16 total missiles at the ready. And despite their impressive theoretical reach, the advanced Russian 40N6C missile has a supposed range of 400 kilometers, 250 miles. Long-range SAMs like the S-400 are still vulnerable to standoff missile attacks. Furthermore, geographical factors weigh heavily on the system's usefulness, with mountainous features able to block the system's sensors. A low-flying target can take advantage of geographical features and the curvature of the Earth to avoid an S-400 interception for far longer than a high-flying target. So, against a low-flying cruise missile, an S-400 will more likely find success at a distance in the tens of kilometers rather than in the hundreds. Ultimately, an isolated S-400 battery or even battalion will, therefore, be vulnerable to a saturation standoff attack and may even be destroyed without destroying a single enemy aircraft. Some current examples. So, what does this context actually mean for how long-range SAM systems are being bought and implemented currently? The answer depends on the nation in possession of the system. Even accounting for their expansive geography, Russia and China are undoubtedly the most effective users of the S-300 and S-400. In both countries, the missile systems are integrated into very dense and sophisticated dyads that are also backed up by large numbers of fighter interceptors. Countries that are middlingly successful in using SAMs include Turkey, where the S-400 is not backed up by significant numbers of effective SAM systems but still proves very beneficial because Turkey's primary air defense, like that of many other NATO countries, is actually centered on its fighter aircraft. The S-400 is essentially there to fill a critical capability gap since Turkey was completely unable to perform anti-ballistic missile defense missions before it purchased the system. Ultimately, long-range SAMs like the S-400 is no miracle weapons. Even the most effective IADS is liable to be overwhelmed if under constant attack without reinforcement. But if properly supported, they can certainly play a decisive role, especially against more limited attacks.